every week we share tips to improve your physical, intellectual, social, spiritual, financial, obviously, and your mental health. Today, we are focusing on how to improve your mental health with overthinking. Topic overthinking. If you've never seen Millionaires Are Made, this is a show built on the fundamental beliefs that every person you meet knows something you don't, and there's something to be learned from everyone in this big, beautiful world. We are on a mission to teach the world how to grow into the healthiest, happiest millionaires in all 6 aspects of life. So we went out and got 3 awesome guests to give you 3 awesome tips on how to improve your mental health regarding overthinking. In the spirit of authenticity, we don't talk to our guests about tips or advice before the show starts. So when they come live and tell you what they think, it's going to be our first time hearing it as well. Audience, this is an interactive show. Please feel free to give your comments and questions. We will actually ask your questions live on air and typically respond to your comment as long as it's somewhat appropriate. I want to take a quick second. This is my favorite time to give us a quick audience shout out. Our followers, thank you so much. On Facebook, Danny Francis. Instagram, Rin Strickland. TikTok, Maria Gonzalez. YouTube, 1821 Productions. Thank you guys so much for following. If you want to be shouted out, all you got to do is give us that quick follow. If you want to be a guest on our show or have a topic idea, we love new guests and we always need a topic, and we know you got something to share. We're dropping the link right now. Go click it, fill it out, become a guest on our show, share your knowledge with the rest of the world. If you have a topic, maybe you're struggling a little bit financially, physically, the diet's not working, whatever it is, give us a topic. We'll go find 3 awesome guests and help you get through that hump in life. Lastly, we're dropping a link right now. I love talking and helping and hanging out, all sorts of fun stuff. And so this is a little coffee break, little one-on-one sesh. If you're interested in my growth consultations, you can check that out. It's completely free. And our last link before we do sponsors is merchandise. We have awesome brand new hats we just got, shirts, calendars, whatever. If you want to support Millionaires Are Made, feel free to grab a shirt. This episode is brought to you by Brian Wright. If you want to get your brand in front of high-level entrepreneurs and personal growth leaders, reach out to Brian at the Ultimate Achievers magazine, where industry icons meet a content-first audience. Check his link out now. Brian is the #1 in writing a book for you, creating a podcast, anything media. Our next sponsor is Sarah Jones, who is amazing. Used to be buried in debt with a failing marriage. Very unhappy with life, following some big guru debt plan, and then scratched all of it, erased it, and now has built herself a healthy financial foundation, is a financial coach, and guides couples, individuals, and small businesses to build fun, healthy money habits, traveling the U.S. in like a 70-foot RV with her husband, happier than ever. Next sponsor is Biz by Right. This episode is sponsored by Biz by Right, the matchmaking service for people who love buying and selling businesses more than they love their own families. We find cash flowing deals, vet them with AI wizardry, and connect buyers and sellers faster than you can say due diligence. Visit buybuyright.com and your wallet will thank you. And our final sponsor is Francine Julin. Francine is a veteran turned author inspiring families to explore mindfulness together. Her story and book spark confidence, calm, and connection for kids and parents alike. Go check her out. Thank you so much. And that will bring us to our first guest, who is Lorraine. Lorraine, tell us, who are you?
Hey, I am the Painless Piano Coach, and I help pianists play with ease and flow without tension, overwhelm, or rigid routines, using intuitive strategies, injury prevention techniques, and creative learning tools.
Fantastic. So I'm sure that with piano, there's a lot of overthinking, right?
Yes, I have a lot of stories to share, so it was tough to pick just one for today.
All right. Well, let me ask you an important question, Lorraine. If I wanted to improve my mental health regarding overthinking, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
Well, something that comes up a lot in working with piano clients is I hear, I'm not going to be able to do this. I won't be any good at it. Everybody's going to think I sound so dumb and stupid and like I'm not progressing as fast as the next person. And all of those stories that people tell themselves, right? So that's overthinking in that way. And it becomes a self fulfilling prophecy because if you tell yourself you're no good and that you can't figure something out, it takes that much longer to figure it out, right? So coming away from that is rephrasing that and saying, I'm going to be open to new ideas. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to um, work on getting 1% better and just focus on yourself and making that one next step forward and forget about what you think others are thinking about you.
Sounds about right. So, Lorraine, do you have a lot of people? I guess why do they start if they don't think they can do it?
I think a lot of people start because they're in love with the idea of being able to play, but then when they actually get into the studio or on a Zoom with me and we're at that point of now you have to actually show up and try to do the thing, and they start having a lot of self-doubt in all of those thoughts. So it is getting the mindset on board is probably 90% of what I do more than teaching people how to move their fingers correctly.
Interesting. More of it is just the mindset convincing them. Lorraine, where on your life journey did you learn this advice?
So this is something that I have seen as a pattern over 25 years of working with piano students and coaching clients. And so I have just asked myself the question, how can I help this specific student? And then the next one after that, and the next one. I personally don't recall struggling with this too much. There were a few times, in high school, I did some really high level competitions, and there's always that imposter syndrome that comes in a little bit. And um, even at a high level, that says, are you sure you can really do this? But um, yeah, over 25 years of working with piano clients, it's just been figuring out what I can do to help them get past this wobble and onto the next part of making progress.
That's fascinating. Thank you so much, Lorraine. We're going to move on to our next guest and we'll bring you out for the round robin. Next up, we have Liz. Liz, tell us, who are you?
Hi, my name is Liz. I live right outside of Philadelphia. I started my company about 2 years ago, and the basis of it is to teach women that change starts in our body. And I essentially help women confront the lies that keep them small and stuck. Um, and I'm really excited for this conversation because I'm like a chronic overthinker and like have to move through this all the time still in my daily life. So I'm excited for this conversation.
All right, well, let's get it going. Liz, if I wanted to improve my mental health regarding overthinking, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
Is it okay if it has like 3 pieces
Sure,
to
we
move
have
through?
no
Okay.
rules.
Okay, cool. So the first thing that you have to do, or that works for me, is slowing down. And it starts with like really slowing down your body, like actually slowing down your movements and just any capacity that you have to actually slow down in that moment will help kind of disrupt that overthinking negative thought loop kind of pattern. And then from there, you can get more curious about what's happening and it'll help you like zoom out of that when you're really stuck in that like that negative spiral. And from there, I would say like moving into like changing your environment, just getting out of that same exact experience that you were in. That definitely helps. And then personally, I believe that like all overthinking, most of it really stems from us having something that we need to express in our body that we need to start moving. So that's why I teach somatics in my business and like self-expression and just finding ways that you can move that energy, because there's so much underneath the surface that's, that like society and just our family and all the patterns that tell us that we can't talk about, or we can't share, and we can't like move in the world that like in the way that we really want to. So um that next piece would be like moving the energy in some capacity, maybe like going for a walk, or writing it out, or like shaking, dancing, anything like that. And then from there, I feel like you're in a more of a clear space to take like one small action. And I always say action creates clarity.
All right. So it's like a 3-step process.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, Liz, where on your life journey did you learn this piece of advice or pieces of advice?
Mm. um I've always been someone that like would, get really stuck in my limiting beliefs. Like I just didn't think I could ever get, have a goal and I could never get there. Like who am I? Just I was just so used to hiding and being small. And then through my journey and my brand of building my business on like through Instagram, I just like really vulnerably like showed my experience of like overcoming those things through my embodiment work, through like just different healing tools and things that have worked for me, even sharing some things that didn't work for me. And just really like taking the action even when I'm scared. So through that, it just kind of created like a process and like something that I can come back to in my life that really helps me be able to like speak from experience and teach people. And the big thing in my business is that I teach people that change happens through like micro shifts. It's not always like this huge, massive life like altering thing. It can start in like very small little practices.
Fantastic, Liz. A lot of info there. All right, well, we're going to move on to our next guest. We'll bring you out for the round robin and hear even more about what you have to say.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Elizabeth. Elizabeth, who are you? You are muted, Elizabeth.
I see that. My dog was barking earlier, so I wanted to make sure she wasn't
Oh,
going to
no
get
worries.
heard. Uh, my name is Elizabeth Meigs, founder of Elizabeth Inspires. I'm an inspirational speaker, spiritual transformational life coach, and I am all about helping to teach the strategies to empower others so that they can overcome and live their best life.
Awesome. I love it. All right, I've got an important question for you, Elizabeth. If I wanted to improve my mental health with overthinking, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
Pause, pray, and breathe. Just pause,
Another.
pray, and breathe. This helps you to learn to reframe. And what reframing does is it helps to rewire your brain so that you can shift those negatives into positives. And once you start doing that, that actually helps you to be able to keep moving. So you can take action. You can live intentionally.
Fantastic. Elizabeth, where on your life journey did you learn this?
Well, 25 years ago, I was severely injured in a car accident at the age of 14, where I suffered a traumatic brain injury that left me fighting for my life. And
Wow.
I literally, once I came out of coma, had to relearn how to do everything again. I was stuck. I was trapped in my head, grieving the person that I used to be, doubting my future, and begging God for answers. I turned to the source, our creator. I wasn't just overthinking, I was overwhelmed by what I couldn't control. But I didn't realize until years later that through God's grace and mercy, by turning to Him, I was developing strategies that were helping me to learn how to reframe so I could continue moving. And then begin reflecting and learning and seeing God's hand in my life so that I could get to where I am today, where I have been healing hearts, minds, and souls. God has been healing hearts, minds, and souls through me for over 13 years.
Wow. That's a powerful story, Elizabeth. Whew. Anything else you want to add before we move to our round robin?
I would just like to let you know that no matter what you're dealing with, whatever your current circumstances that you're in, you were created equipped to overcome them. It just takes peeling back the layers and discovering your true self, which is in your heart.
Easier said
Once you
than done
just,
for a lot.
yeah, yeah, once you discover your truth, that's what makes you unstoppable.
Awesome. All right, Elizabeth, we're going to bring everyone out and have some fun questions and answers here. So we'll start off. Lorraine, can you quickly refresh what your tip was for us?
Um, so basically, I was saying a lot of the same things, Elizabeth, where actually we all are supporting each other in what we're saying this morning, and I love it. But my tip was reframing specifically the story that you're telling yourself about trying something new. So instead of saying, I'm not going to be able to do this, I won't be any good at it, focusing on being open to how it goes and telling yourself that I am going to learn something new and improve and do my best.
Awesome. Thank you, Lorraine. Liz, what are your thoughts on her tip?
I definitely agree that it always comes down to like slowing down and looking more objectively at the thoughts and beliefs that you're seeing that are getting a little bit sticky and in your way. Um, and awareness always is the first step to actually making a change and reframing any belief.
Elizabeth, what are your thoughts on Lorraine's tip?
Yes, what you focus on grows. So when you can learn how to reframe those negatives into positives, that shifts everything. And by keeping moving, that's how you learn how to reflect, becoming more aware. And that just helps to build your confidence, your courage, and clarity so that you can reclaim your power and pursue your purpose.
So we're talking a lot about overthinking and having like almost a negative voice in your head, right? It's telling you you can't do things. Where do you guys think this doubt comes from, and how do you guys recommend getting over it?
It's usually never, this is how I see it, the doubt that you hear, like the voices that you hear that tell you you can't, when you really look at them, you will find that it's usually never, it was never you, like you picked it up somewhere along the way from somebody. Even it could be something like a very, really small memory from your childhood, like a teacher or something that told you something that made you kind of like, oh wow, like nothing I have to say is good enough. So I'm just going to always ruminate and overthink that, that what I have to say, isn't valid basically. Um, so I think that it's something that we pick up along the way, and we think it's us. We think it's like part of, part of us. But it's really like old situations and like ego also.
Yeah, definitely the external forces. We begin to internalize those external forces and external voices. And for me, it all came down to belief, learning to walk by faith and not by sight, trusting in my higher power. And then in turn, once I discovered my truth, that's what built my trust in myself. And then learning awareness and discernment to keep moving forward, to continue to grow into who I was created to be.
Yeah, I
Fast.
agree. Recognizing like Liz was saying, recognizing that those voices of negativity probably aren't you is super important, and figuring out where that's coming from.
So a lot of you guys have basically said that your past traumas are dictating your overthinking. Um, I guess what steps do you guys have to do that? I know Liz, you said something about somatic healing. How do you guys work through that? Do you use licensed therapists, or how do you pinpoint that? Tell me more about how we how we solve the past issues that are causing overthinking today?
Well, I think a lot of people, especially nowadays, like there's so much information out there, and like a lot of people kind of know, like they can see the patterns. They kind of know, like they have the awareness, like, oh, I know I do this, but they can't actually get out. They can't actually make the changes. And sometimes, like being super aware of all the things that you know that you do that you are, trying to get away from can kind of trap you. So that's why when you look at it through the lens of the body and teach your body how to feel safe, even in those fears, even with the shame and like the doubt and like depression and through all that stuff, um, it changes your like physiology like over time when you keep meeting yourself in those experiences, and it makes room for you to see those experiences, those memories, those patterns from a new lens. And that's how I really believe that reframe happens. And of course, also just through like, coaching and talking it through, and therapy and all that does help. But I think that creating safety in the body through like nervous system regulation is like the first piece, I believe, in like really creating long-term change in these kind of like really deep-rooted patterns.
For me, it was choice. I had to choose to rise, and it was God meeting me right where I was at, and then being able to develop those strategies. My foundation, when I was 14 years old and wished that I was no longer here, thinking that this world would be better off if I wasn't here, everything would be easier. My foundation was built on God and gratitude, learning how to pinpoint those small things that brings me joy, those things that I'm thankful for every day. That's what built my strength to help allow me to keep moving so that I could reframe, reflect, and then rediscover.
Something that I've found works really well with my piano clients is when they are tempted to say, oh, I didn't do that very well. I'll take a minute and I'll ask them to think of first, what's one thing that they did like about how they played that piece or that passage, and this can totally be applied to many, many situations. What did you like about how you handled something? And a lot of the time they'll want to say, well, I didn't do this very well, or I didn't do that very well. And I'll say, but that's not the question. The question is, what did you like about how you did this? And then we'll go and we'll pick out one thing that they can improve. And I'm not looking at it as in what you didn't like, but I'm asking now, what can you improve? And you have to pick one thing. And if you can, think about the most important one thing to improve. What's the next step in getting a little bit better at this skill? And that really helps to cut down on all of the negative noise.
All right, next question. What does overthinking look like? How can you identify it? And what's the opposite of overthinking? Is that quick decision making, or what is a healthy thinking limit? Yeah, that's open ended enough. Good luck.
For
I
me,
think
I think that, oh, sorry.
you're fine. Go ahead.
Sure. For me, overthinking looks like when my thoughts are going real fast, and I can't really keep up. I can't catch up, and I don't know which way is up. So I'm kind of just lost in the fog of like one thing kind of flowing into the next. Could
Talk
also
more
be,
about that, Liz. So you're talking like with business, maybe there's like multiple decisions, you're not sure which one to make, and you're kind of bouncing around.
yeah. I also have ADHD, and I feel like a lot of these go through are really attached to ADHD and kind of being pulled in so many directions, and then you can feel like, wow, I really have no idea where to start. So that's how I know I'm kind of caught in overthinking, overwhelm, and then when like we said, like when you're able to really slow it down, then you can actually look, you can like look in your, your apartment or your house or whatever, and like, okay, this is the thing I need to do. This is what I want to focus on. You're able to finally focus on just that one little thing. But sometimes it feels impossible when you're in that rumination.
Decision paralysis is the word I've learned that we call that in the ADHD world.
It's very real.
Yeah, it's so many options, and you just sit there and go, too much, I give up, and then you just absolutely nothing for 6 hours. So for those of us without or if there is anyone in this world anymore that doesn't have ADD, what suggestions, Lorraine and Elizabeth? Maybe how can we identify we're overthinking, and how can we like quickly get through it? Right, you have a decision coming up. Maybe it's a somewhat big one, and when do you know the difference between analyzing pros and cons, and giving it serious thought, and crossing over into overthinking, becoming a negative? How do we find that line?
So for me, overthinking looks like chaos and confusion. So I say break it down. If you can write down that thing that you are wanting to work towards, and then just break it into smaller steps a little bit. Just take intentional action on just one piece or part of it. Once you start doing that, the path is made clear on how to get there. That's a cycle I've been through the last 2.5 decades of my life. Just learning to break it down and focus on a small piece, even writing it down. Writing the things down helps to make it concrete, and it helps you to be able to let go of the things that are holding you back from doing it.
Yes, I totally agree with writing down the steps. That helps me so many times to get started and get moving. And as far as actually making a decision where you have to make the decision of which path to take before you can even start making your list of steps, I found that it's really helpful to, first of all, again, recognize that the chaos is swirling and I'm not getting up and moving and doing something that needs to be done. So taking a few minutes to be quiet and really just have some quiet time with myself, and prayer is definitely a huge part of that for me as well. And feeling through what would it be like to make this decision, or what would it be like to make this other decision. Your subconscious knows what the right choice is for you. So if you can feel into that and be really open to not judging this choice is the right one or this choice is the wrong one, and just let it come to you, I have found that I am not second guessing myself in those choices when I can make them in that way.
All right, we're gonna go back to ADD real quick, and since Liz mentioned it, I'm gonna ask her, but you guys are welcome to answer too. So with ADD, simple. I've been learning a lot about it lately. I feel like it's trendy and hot, but there's a lot of info. So even a tiny little thing going wrong can set your whole day off, like we just talked about. And lately, I've been able to analyze it a lot better, and be like, hey, that problem really. So it's funny because ADD, you're a great problem solver, but then you're also the worst problem solver. It doesn't make sense. And if you have it, you'll know exactly what I'm fucking talking about. So Liz, how do you identify when what is this question I'm trying to ask? How do you identify when it's just like decision paralysis? How do you try to push through that? Or how do I know when it's actually like a serious decision that you need to put more time into? How do you identify through those kind of challenges?
It is hard to decipher sometimes when you do have ADHD, like I said, like knowing what way is up and being so buried underneath everything. But what I do when I feel I don't even know like how to decipher which one. It's just like when I know that I'm just fully overwhelmed, My mental capacity is just like it's just done. It's it's kind of toast. I What I used to do a lot in the beginning when I first kind of started to like really combat my ADHD. I've come a long way with my ADHD. I would actually wake up in the morning and write on. I'm a very visual person. A lot of ADHD people are. Um, I need to see things, otherwise out of sight, out of mind. Like it's, or like when you have too much clutter, that's a lot for ADHD people. So my first thing is like, if I don't know what to do, I gotta like kind of clean and organize and declutter my space a little bit. Um, but to kind of get out of that that ADHD hole when you really don't know how to make any decisions. When I was in the worst mental state ever from my anxiety and ADHD, I would literally wake up in the morning, and because I would feel so overwhelmed by all the tasks I had to do, I would literally write on like a piece of paper or my whiteboard, and I would write "wake up" and I would check it off, so that like I felt like I built some momentum. I'm like, oh, like something's done. And even if I had other things I needed to do, like sit and meditate and do my practice or like make my bed or whatever it was, I would write little pieces because it just helped build the momentum that like I'm kind of making some momentum. I'm making some progress when things just felt like kind of insurmountable. I don't know if I actually answered your exact question, but sorry.
What an
It's
ADD
ADHD
response.
there. Yeah.
Elizabeth, Lorraine, you got anything you want to add?
So for me, it comes down to the heart of the matter. Any transformation, anything that you want to do, I mean, it causes the chaos, the confusion, causes you overwhelm. It causes you turmoil with the heart. So focusing back to the heart, like discovering your truth, know that the dreams on your heart aren't a mistake. They were placed there for a reason. They're a divine assignment. Just and finding answers that bring you peace. So if you've got your way in a decision, one of them brings you more chaos and turmoil. The one that brings you peace is most likely, in my experience, is most likely the way to go.
So what I've noticed over the last few years with this trend of ADHD everything, and I totally relate to it too, because a lot of the I can check almost every box on a ADHD quiz or something, and my therapists have said I probably am. I haven't gone down the road of getting formally diagnosed, but my personal opinion is that it's become what am I trying to say here? It's helped us realize it's helped us realize that we all are unique in the way our thoughts process, in the way we take on tasks. We are all unique, and we need to honor that and figure out what works for us specifically. And there isn't a should or a should not, because again, that leads to overthinking. We get to find what works best for us.
I love that.
Very true. All right, guys, it has come to the point in the show, my favorite part, where we have to come up with a daily challenge. This is a task or series of tasks that takes less than 5 minutes a day, costs $0, and is available to everyone in the world that helps you improve your mental health regarding overthinking. What thoughts do you have?
Mine is daily gratitude first thing in the morning and first thing before you go to bed. Write down 3 positives in the morning. Before you go to bed, reflect over your day and write down 3 positives. That helps you to stay in that positive frame of mind and allows you to be able to learn to live open to all of life's possibilities.
Mine would definitely be to change your routine. So, like right when you wake up, in the smallest little way than you would normally do. So, like if you can go outside and get sun, and that's not something you normally do. You know, like it changes when you change your environment, just for a few moments, and your regular routine of like when you're always going through the same exact motions every day, you're more likely to get stuck in those same overthinking thoughts and spirals. So if you know,
Okay.
like go on a run in the morning instead of doing it later, like things like that, if you're really struggling with it, I think those little shifts can help a lot, and anyone can do
Or if you're lazy, just don't do the run. Change up your routine.
them. Right.
I really love saying a mantra every morning. I have a mantra of about 3 short phrases that I say, and it reminds me to step up and be the person at the next level of who I want to be, not the person that I would say I am today, but the person that I want to be in a month or 6 months or a year. And also, that is the biggest thing that's helped with me personally overcoming overthinking recently, um, in for life in general. And then anytime during the day when a negative thought tries to come in and say, "You're not gonna do this good enough," I touch my nose and I shift and I say that mantra again right at that moment.
Is there anything a little more specific to overthinking and mental health that we could add to our daily challenge?
I
Just
really think that having a specific motion, like touching your nose, or something that means something to you is quick and
Yeah.
easy to do, is super helpful to help you recognize that you're getting into that rut of overthinking right at that moment. And so it's a stop. I'm going to stop this and I'm going to go this direction and reframe, rephrase, say your mantra, whatever it is that you need to do.
It causes like the
definitely,
disruption.
yeah,
Exactly.
definitely the moving, because 75% of adults feel stuck either in their personal, professional lives or both right now. So you got to keep moving. That's the only way you're going to get out of that stuckness.
Yeah, and I think like whatever way you could express what you're thinking, sometimes it's like getting it down on paper, writing out the things that like even if
Oh
it's a
my
couple
God.
words, like I don't know, like when you're really in that state where nothing really makes sense, getting yourself a little bit away from it helps you kind of zoom out, like I was saying earlier. So writing down the topics or the things that are going on that you're stuck in helps kind of separate, what you're doing. I think Lorraine and Elizabeth both talked about that. Like when you're writing it down so you can see it and separate yourself from it just a little bit, it does help.
Something I
Fantastic.
just thought of, and I realized for me to back up even more before getting to this, um, before even getting to the point of reframing, something I've realized is really important for me and my piano clients is to give yourself permission to feel the negative emotion first for a moment. If it's sadness or frustration or anger or whatever it is, give yourself permission just for a minute. It's okay to feel that emotion. And then take a deep breath and shift and reframe.
Yep. Process is key.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. We came up with our daily challenge, got some tips in. So it's time to end the show. Thank you guys so much for coming out and then sharing your knowledge with us. And thank you guys for watching. Can't do this without our viewers, so thank you guys so much. We learned a lot about mental health and overthinking today. Learned one of the biggest things when you're getting stressed with it is movement, reframing, rethinking, taking a breath. We've got an awesome daily challenge. Our daily challenge is to write down 3 things you're grateful for every day, and hopefully you'll think of those throughout the day. And when you're faced with a tough decision to do some sort of movement, you could touch your nose or pull your ear or whatever you want. It helps you stop, think, reframe, and not overthink it. Kind of a fascinating new thing. So that'll be our daily challenge, and change your daily routine to do something a little different so that you get out of your overthinking thoughts. Whew. Thank you so much, and never forget